Hello friends and welcome to my kitchen. We were talking about this morning. We got about a 70 square foot kitchen and a lot of tiny houses have kitchens about this size. We've got a house on a foundation though, so this is not technically a tiny house kitchen. This is a small house kitchen. So let me show you what we got. First of all, we've got the range and, cookbook spices and that kind of thing. If you have a bunch of things like saucepans and skillets and that kind of thing and don't have a cabinet to put them in, hang them on the wall. That top one there is a curtain rod and it works beautifully for lids. And the bottom one is a bathroom towel rack. It works perfectly to hang pots and pans on. And we don't use all of those actually. We could downsize that some more. Range. Okay, so spaces this size are a little bit challenging to photograph, but here's the basic idea. We've got a little storage to the left of the range. We've got the range. Okay, so this is where the big fridge used to be, but let me show you where it is now. Instead of a big fridge, we have one under cabinet fridge there, and then we have another under cabinet fridge there. Now, the one on the left is his, and the one on the right is mine. So it works out really well. So we got this little oven. This is a Breville Smart Oven Air. We got this for the schoolie and loved it so much that it is now living in the house. We sold the schoolie a while back, but kept the just a really great little oven. This is where we keep the pottery, just a small collection of pottery things. These lids are just really fantastic. We use those instead of plastic wrap. There's a whole story about the KitchenAid. We were looking for a second KitchenAid in the restaurant because we literally were having to make a schedule so that we could take turns using the KitchenAid. And so I asked Xavier to pick out, a cheap refurbished one. And I happened to be walking by while he was looking through eBay for cheap refurbished KitchenAids. And I saw over the shoulder this one. And I squealed. And then I'm like, reeling myself back in, right? And I said, okay, I know I just squealed and I know that's probably the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, but what I want you to do is get the cheap one because we can't afford this fancy schmancy one right now. Well, guess what? When the box came, it was the fancy schmancy one. And I cried and, it is a part of our story now. So sometimes you keep things, not because, right now we're not using it a lot because he used to make bread every week, but I have a gluten intolerance, so we're not doing that right now, but we're not going to part with that. Not right now. I have a weakness for dishes, so here are some of our prissy little antique dishes that I have loved collecting. We don't really, there's one drawer right there. The other two, they look like drawers, but they're not because there's a sink. So nice forks and spoons are there in jars at the end of the counter. Everything here is just super, super efficient because this is not a huge kitchen. Now, in the middle of the room, there is a slab, and this is a 250-year-old slab of white oak, and so that is our kitchen island. I didn't know. At the beginning, I treated it as if it were very delicate, and I was scared of it. I was scared to get water on it. I was scared of anything, but literally it's impervious to everything. It is impossible to harm, and I really love it. I really turns out I really love it. Even the live edge, I wasn't sure about that, but it has turned out to be just so cool and just a part of what makes this kitchen so us. Behind the door there is the laundry room, stacked washer and dryer, and there is a little rod up here so that when things come out of the washer, they can be hung there to dry a little bit further. And so that, my friends, is the kitchen. And I don't know what else to say, but that's the kitchen. Oh, I bought a coffee and tea silver plate set for $17 at a estate auction. And so I have now started using the tea kettle every single day. The kettle, yes, but the teapot, is what I mean. So we don't heat any water around here without a whistle because both of us usually put it on and then completely forget about it. So it's important to have a whistle in your tea kettle. So this is the kitchen, and so that's the kitchen.
Let me answer a question about minimalism. And that is, can you be a minimalist if you love artwork, if you love color, and if your house has stuff in it? And I think that's such a great question, because we tend to think of minimalism as these wide open spaces with lots of glass, lots of concrete, lots of stone, very monolithic, very empty. Some of my favorite minimalist structures are, like the entryway was created to feature this certain piece of artwork. And so it's the perfect dimensions for this huge mega painting that's just bang in your face, For me, minimalism is always a dance with art. It is an art form. But for me, minimalism will never be colorless. I mean, look at me. Minimalism can never be colorless for me. It can never be artless for me. It can never be a room of gray and taupe with no art on the walls. That will never, ever work for me. And the funny thing is that, there's a lot of IKEA furniture in minimalism, and I'm cool with that. I actually really love the aesthetic, but I don't have any IKEA stuff in my house. When it comes time to buy furniture, for me, I go for handmade. I go for something, usually we find things at an estate sale or something like that. So, with the exception of these carts, I keep collecting because I love carts. We both love carts. With the exception of those, I don't think there's any, and those aren't IKEA, those are Michael's. But I don't actually think there's any IKEA stuff in here. But that's just because we really love handmade. My husband is an artist, and he's a pipe organ builder. I'm a weaver, an artist. I've had a couple of art galleries. It's just, art is very much a part of who we are. And so our way of doing minimalism is very colorful and artsy. So thank you for joining me today. Do me a favor, if you liked this conversation, then go ahead and hit that little thumbs up, subscribe. There is a lot more of this coming your way. I am really on a journey of discovery. I think learning is my very favorite thing. Curiosity is just a really fun thing to follow. So yeah, there's more of this coming. If you found this video interesting and think of somebody that you might like to share it with, by all means, feel free to do that. Today's been brought to you by the Simplicity Mindset. This is a class where I teach you to minimize the mundane aspects of your life to make room for meaning and mission. And this is a journey that I've been on for quite some time now. And I am teaching, especially in this month of January, I'm teaching specifically on Simplicity How. This is very nuts and bolts. But also on simplicity on purpose. And this is a conversation about purpose, because no conversation about downsizing or right-sizing or decluttering or any of that is actually helpful or effective without a conversation about purpose. Because if we have an understanding of who we are and our sense of purpose, then it makes downsizing so simple, because basically it's asking yourself the question, does this serve my purpose? If yes, keep it. If no, get rid of it. And it's actually a very liberating approach to simplicity, and I think it's probably the part that's missing in the conversation. So I'm going to work at fixing that. I'll be creating a class coming up on purpose. I already have a little class on purpose, but we're going to flesh it out a little bit more. The Lord has laid some things on my heart this morning, which is really exciting to explore those things coming up. So if you're interested in a downsizing conversation that takes into consideration who you are as a person and your sense of purpose in the season of your life, then visit me at thesimplicitymindset.com. There is a ebook available for you there. It's called Simplicity Now, 5 Ways to Simplify Your Life right now. And that's for people who want to get started and don't want to have to wait for the class sessions. But yeah, check that out. I think it's a really interesting resource. It goes through Simplicity How, Simplicity Why, and Simplicity on Purpose. And that's my favorite part, the Simplicity on Purpose part. So thank you for joining me, and stick around, subscribe. There is more great content coming your way. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.